I promised I'd talk about what it's like to be laid up as a senior. And I have some observations, experiences, reflections today that I want to share. Many of you know that I broke my leg a few weeks ago. Quite a shock to me. I plan to age in place here, just not right now. But here I am. That's what I want to talk about today. I don't offer this here as a structured discussion, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. It has to do with being laid up and being solo, in my belief. Instead, what I have is a collage of what I'm experiencing right now, a smatter of this, a smatter of that. That's my life. I'll explain. Let me get started. Before I dive right in, I'd like to ask you to subscribe. I know I'll forget later, so please do if you're new to me, or just getting used to me maybe. And that thumbs up, I really appreciate those at the end of the day, especially now when I'm a little bit cranky and out of sorts because of what I'm going through. That's enough of that. I want to begin by telling you a little story of what happened to me this morning, and it pretty much summarizes my experience. So what happened? I woke up not bright and early, as is my habit. I'm a late riser. The sun was shining beautifully. We're in the last vestiges of fall. The final leaves are drifting towards the ground. Some trees still have a pale orange. Many now are denuded. But the sky was blue today, a brilliant blue, an occasional cloud. Snappy weather, as I found out when I opened the back door. My lungs filled with fresh air. I left the door open. Brekkie could come and go, and besides, I felt all that niceness could sink into the nooks and crannies of my little house. I knew I would appreciate it. As I went about making my day, starting with my cheapskate latte, Nescafe, sugar, milk, cream, I looked up and there was a wasp on a closed window. A wasp. I guess he or she, don't know which, flew in through the open door. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought by this stage of fall, there would be no more wasps, no more pesky bugs to worry about. Trust me, there are ticks too. I thought we were done with that. Anyway, there was this wasp. I approached it on my scooter. Yes, I have the cutest little scooter ever. You know, the kind where you put your knee on the seat and you paddle with your good leg? I have one of those. Oh, it is cute. So I made my way towards the window. I had to get rid of that wasp. I didn't want to worry about a wasp all day, thinking it could come at me at any time when I wasn't paying attention. And then I'd have a sting to worry about, or Brekkie would have a sting to worry about. And then how would I get him to the vet? So my anxiety was building. I wasn't even close to the window yet. And then what happened? That wasp dive-bombed me. Whew. I ducked, but here I was on a scooter. I almost put my bad foot down. I had to back away from the window, and that's no easy feat on a scooter. It takes care. It's slow. It takes regrouping in the mind while you head backwards carefully so you don't trip, which I almost did. And I realized in that moment the wasp could far outfly me. I was a sitting duck to that wasp because I couldn't move very quickly. I was physically unable and also too careful to move with any kind of rapidity. And I realized that in that moment. I tried a few more times to figure out what I could do about that wasp. It was flying. Oh, I was so frightened. And I was so frightened it would get Brecky. I yelled at him, screamed at him to move away and not go towards the wasp. He took off into the bedroom. Smart guy, he heard me. I finally just had to give up. I had to hope that nature would take its course and that wasp would get so busy banging its head against glass to try and get out of the house that it would exhaust itself and drop to the floor. I have no idea if it did exactly that. It didn't seem to bother me from maybe 5 minutes later. But here's the thing. I found out in those moments how vulnerable I am. I found out because I can't move fast enough, temporarily at least, because I can't coordinate quickly to move myself out of a dangerous situation, especially a situation that would have made me anxious anyway. But here I was, an anxious wreck. I gathered from that that was partly an experience of being solo. And I am talking about living solo today. Living solo as a little old lady. But here's, as I thought about it, the challenge, at least for me. In this situation, it would have been very helpful for someone to take over and deal with the wasp. Perhaps then my fear could have abated and I wouldn't have had to worry about the wasp. But here's the thing about being solo. I cherish my solitude. I need my space. Having someone here who might be capable of rescuing me when it comes to wasps in the house by taking over that particular chore and ridding my little home of the pest. I realize there are downsides to that too. Having another person in the house would be extremely invasive to me. And as I thought about it, perhaps we're faced with that as we get older. There will perforce be people helping us out. How will that feel to me then? Would I feel as invaded as I'm anticipating I would? I guess that's not a question I could answer right now, but it did firm up in me how much I value my solitude and how vulnerable I might be in giving it up. Because I may or may not at some point need to get taken care of. Just a thought. One of the things that has bothered me most about being laid up, and it's been, I don't know, just over 2 weeks now, I think. Almost 3. And gosh, it'll be 8 or 12 or I don't know how long before I can really be up and about. But over the months, I've talked about how few things I like to have in my house. This is a new idea for me. Typically, my whole life, I've been a messy person. I tend to leave debris everywhere. Oh, the average Joe Schmo might not think I'm a messy person, but I have thought of myself that way. I could always be tidier. That all changed when I moved into this little house. What I found in this little house, first of all, being me, all of a sudden I realized I don't like having a lot of stuff in my life. What else did I realize? In this little house, any amount of clutter drove me nuts. It might as well have been cluttering my head as well as cluttering the room. And here I sit these days. There's stuff hither and yon. There has to be because there are things that I need to be reaching. They had to be put within reach. But that's not all the mess. My floor is at the moment a mosaic of crushed kibble, a dropped piece of tomato that I'm unable to pick up, a stray spinach leaf that didn't make it into the pot, and crumbs everywhere. Everywhere. I can barely keep up with wiping the countertops. I do try to do that every day, and I do the dishes. But even giving the countertops a good wipe, which is a must-do in my mind, it takes some careful balancing on my one good leg. Some very, very careful balancing so that my scooter doesn't jackknife. And so I seem to be living in the world of crumbs, micro-clutter, things that shouldn't be where they are. And it bothers me that they're there. It's as though I don't have a clean canvas in my head to work with. But that's the reality I'm living in now. And sure, I could hire someone, well, maybe on a humble income, to do a little vacuuming. But what would happen? The floor would be all messed up in a day. Because that's a certainty right now. There's going to be crumbs everywhere. And they're going to interfere with my clarity. I haven't said much yet about what it takes to move around and how that impacts me. And this is only temporary, mind you. Or at least that's what I tell myself. It seems likely. The break isn't horrendous. It's known for healing quite quickly and securely. Oh, I was so glad when I heard that. But what used to take but a moment, a dash over there to get a cup of tea, a dash that way to go to the bathroom, now I have to plan. I have to plan how to get onto the scooter from my seat here, how to transfer from my scooter to the walker so I can go into the bathroom and be super safe there. The walker is a little bit more reliable in that situation than my scooter is. And I want to be sure I don't fall. The whole event can take 5 minutes. And if I want to wash my hands after that, and thank goodness the walker will fit under my wall-mounted sink. Oh, I'm so glad I did that. But yet again, I'm standing on one leg as I reach across the sink, flip up the lever for the water, and use both hands to get soap and give my hands a good wash. That means letting go and letting my one standing leg, the good leg, do all the work. Do that a few times in a day, the good leg starts to wear out. As I mentioned, that takes quite a bit of planning, a little bit of risk-taking, and it eats into my time. The time when I really want to have solitude, because I cherish my solitude here. I'm not a solo by accident, and I'm a forever solo. I've never had a partner, I've never had kids. And really, I think I would have been bad at both. So it's a big relief at this age that I never persuaded myself otherwise. But yeah, I value my solitude. And right now, that solitude has been the canvas on which I can make my creativity happen, settle into it, so it comes out of me. My videos, my thoughts, my writing, my crazy ideas. I needed my solitude to make all of that happen. But now, that space for me, it has crumbs all over it. Little trips, they're trips now, hither and yon, around my house. They used to be a few steps, now they're work, plan, anxiety, working my head, making sure I get it right, and don't injure my good leg or put my bad leg accidentally on the floor and have to start all over with the healing process. That's where I am with my being solo right now. I recognize in the future, as I become more frail, not right now, this seems to be a temporary aberration. I worry about my sense not just of helplessness, but about interventions that might make me lose my necessary feeling of solitude, the space that keeps me alive, that I might lose that. I've never thought about that before, and it's scary. I feel such a Debbie Downer here, but I will tell you, there's been much that has worked out for me. Surprisingly, I have been able to get help. I had a little bit of money, and there's a government furlough right now. So there are all these people available who need a little bit of cash to sustain themselves. So convenient. So a young woman has been helping me out, and she's great with Brecky. Oh, it's so fabulous to see him enjoying his day, playing, and then collapsing with exhaustion back to his old self, the pre-Judith got injured self. It's so fun to see that. And as a counterpoint to my fears about going forward and having some of my solitude and the sense of relaxation I need to be creative, my fear about having that eaten away as I get older, I must say I've quite adapted to the few hours a week this young woman comes to help me out. And you know what she did yesterday? I finally got up the nerve, because I never thought of asking someone to do this. I finally got the nerve to ask her to vacuum up the crumbs. So I'm a little bit less crumbly today. Oh, that tomato is still stuck to the floor, and that lone spinach leaf, it's still there too. But there are fewer crumbs. And now I've learned I can actually ask someone to vacuum for me. It's not going to kill me. And it's not going to impact my solitude, except for a few moments. And I might receive those few moments very gladly if they help Brecky out. So my mind is quite eased. It's worked out beautifully. A nice balance between getting helped and being alone. Maybe I shouldn't say a nice balance, because I miss the old days when I could do for myself and really experience that solitude. But I've worked out a good compromise. I can get her to bring my groceries. She's even taken me shopping so I can make my own choices. To a farm stand, no less, my favorite farm stand. And she did it so gladly. And it was so nice to get out of the house, at least for the few moments. I guess what I'm saying, all is not lost. I might have to give up a little bit of my solitude to manage this time temporarily. If you notice, I have had to cut back on my videos. Why? I don't have as much internal space, mental space, as I had 3 weeks ago. Because there's clutter, there's crumbs, there's lengthy travel to the other parts of my home that are not right here on the couch. The thoughtfulness about my life that I really didn't have to think through before. Those are my experiences, at least for now, about being solo in my little house when I'm laid up. And I hope what I have to say doesn't distress you. I really hope that. I only have moments, really, when they distress me too. Oh, I get frustrated that I can't do things. I get frustrated with my mind being occupied with things that are necessary for me now that weren't really necessary for me before. And I wish I had more time to allocate to being creative, really sitting with my thoughts and have them emanate from me. But it's not all the time I think about things like that. Most of the time, I'm thinking about my next cup of tea, to tell you the truth. Occupying myself maybe with things that I haven't for a long time. Things that I don't need to settle into for hours on end. Well, there's surfing. You know I'm into that. A smattering of reading. And I am enjoying my puzzles. And this is temporary. A temporary blip in my life. And it's not about age. I happen to be 72, but this could be happening any time in my life. And perhaps if I had been younger, it would have been even more impactful, because it might have intervened in making enough money to keep a home together. I don't have quite that issue at the moment. A few expenses to hire this young woman to take care of me for a few hours a week and entertain Brecky. But that's about it in terms of extraordinary outlay. Oh, my scooter, but man, it is cute. I feel like a kid with a new bicycle. It's that cute. I'd love to hear your comments. Perhaps you've had this experience too, with the brain clutter, the disorganization, the fear, the anxiety, the little things like a wasp that can really upset you and make you fearful. Have at it in the comments. And the other thing I want to say before I let up, I have started memberships this fall. My idea is that I'd like us to be chatting live together. A time to connect. It is a difficult time. And it's not just about me being laid up. These are hard months, I think, for all of us, in one way or another. I want to be talking about that. So you'll see me start up memberships, and I invite you to join. That's my goal, to have some rich conversations with people who are like-minded. You'll see more about that in the next week or so. My brain is a little bit occupied right now, but you'll see that. That's enough for now. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk soon, all right? See you then.